All right, what up, people? Pushing while black here, and all right, focus. Okay, we me and one of my contributors to this channel, we just finished the NBA preview, and he's gonna be a part of this channel for the rest of this channel, and you're gonna hear a lot of him because I like talking basketball to him, and he's a good dude, or basketball with him, and he's a good dude, and he's also disabled, and he's also black. So so we normally just talk about disability and blackness and girls and life, and I'm actually gonna start interviewing people here, and Ant's gonna be my practice interview before I start getting.
Why would you even say that? But okay.
Well, you are, dude, because
I'm your first interview.
well, that would be a lie because I interviewed
And
Kingsley
the show
before
is
you.
going to get better from here.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
But yeah, before I start getting other activists on here, I'm gonna interview Ant, and hopefully this doesn't turn into like a conversation of randomness like it always does. But it ends up being a good convo. So, Mr. Joslin, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you for having me, Christian. I've been a proud contributor to your many podcasts. Where do you want to start, sir? I'm an open book.
Well, usually I would just get you in, and not a lot of people know who you were. It was just to my audience, as little as it was just a dude that I just brought in here. So why don't you tell the people about yourself and your background and stuff?
Okay. My name is Anthony Joslin. I'm from a little town in Kansas called Wichita. Proud to say I'm from the 27 block in that area. 27 blocks finest. What's up to all my 27 blockers out there? I'm proud alumni of the Wichita State University. Go Shockers. Just a guy living his life and trying to help somebody else that might be in a similar situation or somebody that might need help.
Okay. Me and Anthony met. We were on a job, actually a job that I'm back in. We worked in an insurance exchange. The company will go nameless because it just might, and I want to keep my job. And so I knew he was, like, the first conversation I had with him, I was like, okay, this dude is right. I'm not even gonna say different. Like, see, I'm from Chicago, he's from Kansas, and there's always been, because there's always been like a transplant like bond, especially with Midwesterners, because we from that region, and there's that you have to have a certain type of grit when you come from that region.
There's a certain character that is shared by both of us.
Right. And honestly,
that you rarely find from people down here.
I wasn't gonna say that, but all right. But originally, like when I talked to him, at first, cause Ant, like when I first met Ant was one of them dudes that I swear he sounded like a Kansas City pimp. And I was like,
go that far.
So I was like, oh my goodness, this dude is cool, man. So we started talking, and we swapped numbers, and he would just, like, originally, and one of the reasons why not to steal the interview here, but one of the reasons why I wanted to, I liked him is because both of us are disabled, both of us are black, and both of us have gone through like similar struggles when it comes to when it comes to employment, and that's where my heart is as far as disability rights and as far as this movement. You know what I'm saying? And I think similarly, his heart is there, and his heart is also into something else that I'm gonna let him explain. But originally, and then we were just, Ed got me by 10 years. So there's 10 years of knowledge, and there's 10 years of life experience and when you actually talk to him privately and he tells you about his life, there's actually it seems like 20 years of experience. So I think he's also one of the most funniest people that I know. And I originally wanted him to do a podcast himself and tell some of them crazy ass stories you would tell about stuff. But it turned into our friendship turned into, because we have similar backgrounds, because we walk but we use chairs, because we have issues with accessibility and jobs and stuff. It just turned into our friendship. That's kind of turned into, and when we do these vlogs and when we do these podcasts, which are coming, it always turned into a deeper conversation. So I kind of wanted to. So, Ant, what's your? Because I mentioned before about one of the passions that you have, and actually we've argued about a few times. What's one of your passions, man, about this movement? What are you trying to?
My passion is housing, I would say. And from my perspective, if you can't be independent in your house, it's going to be hard for you to think about being independent in your job.
Right.
Because so much of my psyche begins from my home, I guess.
So what do you want? So as far as disability rights, and as far as what you want to do, or as far as
this is what I'm striving to do. And we have a nonprofit coming in late 2016, late 2017, that's going to speak to this. But I want homes to be more accessible. And there's a lot of highly functioning disabled people that if their home was more accessible, they could do a lot more for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be another podcast, but I always speak to Christian about the gorilla pimping of disability.
Go into that, please.
Okay, it's just the old adage, teach a man to fish and he can live forever. But if you give him a fish, he's only going to live for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there are so many individuals that instead of giving disabled people the tools to do it by themselves and think for themselves and show their skill for themselves, and by for themselves, I mean where they're the first one to get paid off their skill or whatever. It's so many able-bodied people, agencies that are pimping disabled people. Where remember there was one conversation we had where I said, Christian, do you know how many people you employ just by you getting up going to work?
And I was like, what are you talking about? There's a lot of times when you drop these nuggets of knowledge, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right. If you think about it, whether you go to work or not, because you're a disabled person, you employ so many people. And I'm telling you right now, I did it one day while I was sitting around looking for a job. I am the reason why I say 11 people are employed. If you take me out, there's a chance that these 11 people might not be employed.
Break it down, because I don't think a lot of people understand that.
That's everything from DARS counselor to wheelchair guy to Social Security.
I shudder when he said DARS counselor, but this is your thing, man, so I'm not going to say it.
Right. And you know, there's so many agencies that are linked to disability that don't really do anything.
DARS being one of them.
Right.
But, you know. I've already stated my disdain for that place.
Right. So, with that being said, I know, and you know, not to mention the support staff for those people.
Dude.
You know what I mean? But yet still, I couldn't get a job as a support staff in DARS. I couldn't get a job as a DARS counselor. But I know the plight of disabled people that want to be employed more than anybody else.
I just feel not to go, man. Nothing.
Well, you know, that is actually another podcast.
Which we've done years ago, but just I just hate that agency. I hate them.
Right.
Genuinely, because see, with Social Security and all these other things, that I can see a purpose. I don't see a purpose for DARS.
Right.
I don't.
You're right.
Never have.
And there's numerous agencies.
And you dropped a nugget on me about DARS that I want you to share with the public.
Which one?
I think you said, what was it? You said like, how could somebody making $30,000 a year?
Okay, I got it. How could somebody making $30,000 or $40,000 a year find a disabled person a job making $100 grand per year? Think about it.
Not even that. Not even match the qualifications of my credentials, man. Like, anyway, anything. Here's, and I'm not gonna steal this thing. Anything that a DARS counselor can do, and I've said it when I interviewed Kingsley. I've said it when I've done these myself. Anything that a DARS counselor can do, if you're physically disabled only, we're not talking about intellectually disabled. We're not talking about people with, like, you know, intellectual disabilities or anything like that, or anything mental. From a physical disability standpoint, anything that a DARS counselor can do for you, you can do yourself.
Right.
And I think...
I mean, I don't want the interview to stray because there's way more topics than this.
Right.
But I used to get into problems where DARS counselors would tell me, "Oh, you got to show up for these meetings." And I'm out looking for a job. I don't have time to show up for meetings. Either you want me to really find a job that that match my credentials, or you want me to show up for your support meetings so your numbers will look good.
By the way, the NBA preview is a go.
Okay.
We got that in there. Side note, people, we just did the NBA preview like about 15 minutes
30
ago.
seconds ago.
Right, and I had like issues uploading on before, but all right, we're good. Hey man, I didn't ask you this because we got into DARS and we can get back into it like because what is your background, man? Like, as far as, because you mentioned you're from Wichita and where you grew up. How was your family life, man? As far as
my family life was like this. Grew up in a single parent home. My mother raised like 6 kids, 4 boys and 2 girls, and numerous cousins, numerous nieces. And around my house, I was treated like a normal dude.
Right.
So, you would be like, Anthony, go do this. Anthony, go do that. Anthony, you need to do this. You need to do that. And my mother used to tell me when I would get dressed every morning, or when she would be helping me get dressed, but just go out there and mess up like everybody else. Don't have fear towards things that aren't in your control.
She raised 6 of y'all?
Yeah.
What was that like, man?
Oh man, it was the funnest house ever, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wish I could find a girl right now, and the girl that was fertile, and we could just raise 6 or 7 kids myself, because it was that exciting, it was that fun, but my mother, she treated me like she would treat any one of her kids. She was very supportive and very loving. People say that she might have been a little bit too protective, but I think if you look at the holistics of the situation, she did a great job, made me mentally tough, and made me focus on what's important, not what people say is important. And by the way, that's a whole nother matter, because I think that is what is slowing the disability movement down. Well, I think we're not focusing on what's truly important. We're focusing on what people want us to think is important, and it's not.
Well, we're going to get back into that for a second, like a second. But, so you have 5 brothers and sisters, man.
Right.
So how was it growing up in a house? Because I'm assuming you're the youngest?
Yeah, I was the youngest.
So how was it growing up because I have 2 older brothers and I only grew up in a house with one of them. So how is it growing up with like 5 other people?
Man, now I'm gonna say this for the record. I came along at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So we weren't really like my sister that's closest to me is 4 years older than me, and then my next older sibling is 10 years older than me. So basically, they were already grown at a certain point, and it was just me and my mom in the house. But the good thing about it is, I was taught, to not really fear things, to go out and experience life and do certain things at a certain pitch, do things at a certain level, and then, you expect to win out here. You know what I mean? You have certain situations that you're not supposed to worry about. And you're supposed to be just a person living your life.
Right.
So that made it be kind of different. And I definitely tried to be aware of I was aware that I was disabled, but I was also aware that I was a black man first. And,
I'm doing the sky point as you say that.
What now?
I'm doing the sky point as you say that.
Yeah. So, my mom was one of the greatest people that I will ever know, because she had this way about her of, oh my God.
What?
AT&T is merging with Time Warner.
Yeah. Breaking news on the they just focus. But you know what? Screw it. We can talk about that for 5 seconds. How you gonna have DirecTV and you gonna have Time Warner cable? and they just
Spectrum just bought them like 2 months ago.
and AT&T just merged with Spectrum. Apparently, like I'm confused. Did AT&T merge with Spectrum? I'm confused. I'm totally.
I don't know, but let's not sully my interview with.
Nah, with Blah, because I actually want to, because you mentioned some things that I actually want to go into.
Okay.
But yeah, you were talking about your mom, like basically.
By the way, this interview is dedicated to Miss Julia S. Joslin.
Ms. Joslin, you raised a wonderful human, and we miss you. I only got to talk to her twice, but she sounded like she was a real chick.
I'll always and forever love you, baby. Appreciate all you did. She just raised us different, and you know, before she passed away, we talked about how she was, you know, a young girl, a young single parent, and how she had to go around with my two brothers, and people would look at her a certain way because she was young, and they would treat her a certain way because she was young, and she said that prepared her to have a disabled son, and as a matter of fact, she ended up having 2 disabled sons.
Mm-hmm.
And she never let anybody mistreat us. She never let anybody kind of do that assumption. You know how there's an assumption of, a disabled person should settle for less?
Oh, yeah.
She never
Definitely
told me to settle. She told me that I would take some L's, but she said you never settle, you never stop.
Both of us got that because it sounds like your mom raised you kind of like my mom raised me, where we were conscious of our disability because it was obvious, but it was always last.
Right. And she would always tell us, you know, you're a man first.
Mm-hmm.
No, she would tell us like this, I'm going to be honest. You're a child of God first.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're a man. Then you're a black man. Then you're a disabled black man.
Bro, I wanna stay on that point for a second, man, because, and I don't want this to be, I don't, let me see if I can frame this correctly. I don't want this to be to offend anybody, but I want to have I want to bring something up, and I want to get your opinion on something. I want to get your thoughts. I've always thought of my disability as not necessarily a negative, but I've always thought of it as something that I deal with, independent of my personhood. Like, I don't think of it as, like, I'm not one of these disability pride people, which is kind of hard because I'm in the world of disabled advocacy and stuff. I'm in that world, and I know advocates and everything. But I've always like thought of, and it wasn't like, I don't hate my cerebral palsy, never did. It was just something that I dealt with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hated people's reaction to it. People's reaction to it has always been negative. Like, I tell people in a second, like, my blackness has never been a problem until very, very recently. But my disability has been a problem since I was 5. So it's not like I hate it, but I always feel like I got to fight against, you know what I'm saying, what people perceive my disability as. And it's kind of how I was raised, and you and I were raised similarly, and it doesn't mean that our parents were, because you mentioned your mom was overprotective.
No, she really wasn't. She was just, she didn't want nobody to mess over me.
Exactly.
I mean, bro, we had this conversation recently before she passed. She was like, you've always been the most level-headed of my kids.
Mm-hmm.
She said, and I think the disability situation for what it is. You have to see the through line of what you have to do to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, my dad, it was kind of weird because I grew up with like 4 external forces. And I'm not going to say that they were all equal, but they were all prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
That influenced me. Can I go into what those were?
Yeah, you can. It's your show.
Okay. My mother was my first influence.
Mm-hmm.
And she really taught me to not fear anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll say, and I'll go from daily involvement, like from most to least.
Mm-hmm.
Then my brother Mike, who shot himself accidentally when he was 4.
Mm-hmm.
One of my brothers shot himself when he was 4. And he just really taught me that you can overcome your disability and live a normal life.
Right.
Okay. And, he's quite a bit older than me, but I saw him date girls. I saw him sneak girls into the house. I saw him, he would babysit me and take me to the movies, and he'd be like, if I kiss a girl, you kiss a girl. So kiss that girl that I just kissed.
So that was kind of like your role model.
Right.
That was basically like your older brother was your role model as far as, and he was disabled too. So
and nobody messed with him. If you gave him shit, he gave it to you back double.
Mm-hmm.
And then next after that would be my pops. Now I think my business acumen comes from my pops. But the giving soul that you may know, or the giving person that will just give of his time and try to help as many people as I can, that comes from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last person that I think just gives you that overall confidence, that style that's like undeniable,
Mm-hmm.
that came from my Uncle George. My Uncle George was like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew who my dad was. But, me and my dad didn't settle up until right before he passed. And I love them all dearly, miss them all dearly. My brother's still around. I'm probably going to call him after I record this thing and thank him for what he did. But that's where it all comes from. And then, so many other things come from my other brothers and sisters. The intellectual, acumen comes from, I think all my brothers and sisters, because all my brothers and sisters are geniuses in their own way.
Right.
And I think all that rolled into it makes me be the cat that I am. And I sent you a text yesterday. People just come up and start talking to me, and I wonder where that comes from.
Can I just explain where that comes from? Like one of the things that and if you didn't, I'm having a brain freeze here. Anthony is one of them dudes that, like, cause we don't.
If I went into a room and just sat there and didn't say nothing, little kids would walk up to me and say something. Then their moms would say something to me. And then their dads would do this thing that all dudes do when their girlfriend breaks wine. They just kind of nod and be like, I want to kick your ass, but I like it.
Right. And I don't have that quality. I don't have that quality yet. Like, Ant's one of them dudes that, and our buddy Kingsley is the same way, but in a different way. They can take over a room. Like, but I've seen Ant do it in a cooler way where he doesn't really try. And like, one of the, not points of contention, because this is my brother in ability, but one of the things that we always talk about is, I think when he first met me, he was be like, man, how come you can't just, and it's like, and I used to tell him, like, bro, you're different. Like, there are things that you can do that I can't pull off. There are things that you can pull off that I can't pull off as a dude. Like I think the first time, I think the day I met him, like, it was 3 girls trying to holler at him. Yeah. No, we talking about outside.
I'm talking about outside.
Yeah. Like, it was Dibs, and it was that other chick that was trying to get at the dart driver, or the dart driver was trying to get at her. And then it was somebody else. And I'm like,
I think it was the church chick.
Yeah. And I'm sitting there like, where'd this dude come from? And he's not, like, there are two types of dudes in the world. There's dudes that actively have to work for what they get. And then as far as women goes, like, I always tell Ant about the beginning of Hitch. And in the beginning of Hitch, you know, when Will Smith is explaining that there are some men that have a natural rapport with women, and women just like being around them, and everything is cool, and, you know, it's really easy for them. And then he goes, I was not one of those people, and I had to learn to be one of those people. Ant's that person that doesn't really have to try hard. It just sort of happens. And he's the first dude that I know with a disability that doesn't have the women problems. Wow. First dude that I met with a disability that doesn't have the woman problems, like, right away. Like, some of the crazy stories that he tells about his life is just.
I'm gonna say this. Right now, at this point, I'm single, and I've been single for a long time, but I'm not really tripping on me being single.
Right.
You know, to be honest, you know, I'm just one of these people. I meet people, and, you know, if you like it, you can sample for a time. But I just view myself as a regular dude, and, you know, I'm gonna keep living my life. And then when I find it, I'm gonna find it. You know, but I'm also I'm like Barry Bonds in one respect, but I'm also like Ichiro in another respect. I can hit the ball to all fields because it's just how I'm cut. I can talk to anybody. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think that's communicated, you know, in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just how I was brought up, and you know, just had a lot of situations as a young guy that couldn't be explained. It has to be what's the word? It's unexplainable. Just some of the situations I found myself in, and but I've never asked a woman that I was dealing with, why you love me? Well, I have, and they'll give you some weird answer that don't really,
that doesn't make any sense to you.
Don't really make any sense. Like, one girl told me I like because I can see your clean white T-shirt under your polo shirt. That gets me right. And I was like, but anybody can do that, you know, not the way you do it. Not the way you do it.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, really? And when you first told me that, I was like, really, dude? That's what you said?
But that's how random it be. Like, I'm sure it's women in your world that they like something about you, but they'll never let you know. And if they would let you know, life would be easier.
If they would let me know, I wouldn't be single and no kids.
Yeah.
But
it's a blessing now because you're gonna find the right girl, and y'all gonna have a mess of big head Dame Dollar Dame Dollar looking babies.
Wow.
No Clippers.
I hate that, man. So okay, you grew up with 5 siblings and stuff, and I'm sure you had you sounds like you had a real good experience coming up, man. So where'd you go to college, man? Like, you went to college at Wichita State. What you graduate in?
Excuse me. Mass media communication. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, you good.
Mass media communication.
And what were your plans? Because we're getting into like the crux of why we think what we think.
What? To be honest, I just wanted a good job where I could use my communication skills. I'm not, I'm more of a whore about my job.
Okay, explain that comment.
I'm just real easy. Like, you could catch me doing a podcast with you, comedy with some of my other friends, and then, I really have found a calling with insurance. I like insurance, man. I like being able to build people back up. I like seeing people back on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
After something bad happens.
So you really like the job that we met 2 years ago, that you feel like that's your... I know that's not ultimately your calling, because we talked about the non-for-profit. I know that's ultimately what you want to do. That's what your passion is, but you've seen like insurance is like your calling.
Yeah.
I feel you on that. Hey man, I wanted to mention, I wanted to bring it back to a point that you brought up earlier that we always talk about. And you were saying how you had thoughts about the disability rights movement as a whole, and I want you to expound on that.
I'm gonna be honest, the disability rights movement focuses on stupid shit. It don't focus on what needs to be focused on.
And what, in your opinion, does it need to be focused on?
It needs to be focused on what the actual problem is. The actual problem is the stigma of disability.
I know what you're talking about, but I need you to...
Okay, let me give you an example. Okay, this is another show too. Mm-hmm. Hidden disability and visual disability that you can see. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is a big issue, right?
Go into that, please.
Okay, there's disabled people that can walk around and you looking at them and you would never know, but they're mentally challenged. And, the police issue aside, there's a whole different mentality to somebody that's walking around as opposed to somebody that is in a wheelchair, let's say.
Or is physically challenged.
Right.
Like, and when we say mentally, and let me clarify, when we say mentally challenged, we're not talking about intellectually challenged. We're not, or just that. We're talking about people that may have a learning difference. We're talking about people that are on the higher spectrum of autism. Because there are people that you wouldn't know unless you talk to them that something's wrong.
Yeah.
And invisible disability, while like, because I don't want to, because this is going to get posted in certain places. And if people listen...
I'm not saying that any disability is bad, but what I'm saying is
break
this is my interview. I'm finna
break
it all the way down. And I mean, this might piss you off, but I'm finna
go in, man.
Okay.
I went in last Saturday. You go in now.
Okay. There is, as I plug my phone charger in, and it doesn't seem to work, but I know that it worked before. Okay, there we go. Now, as I continue now, there's a difference in people that, okay, if you take a person that doesn't have a disability, and I'm not talking about those bullshit disabilities, like where a dude might have one digit of his finger cut off, but it's to be disabled.
There's an article that I'm going to mention to you that is going to really make you mad. But go ahead.
Hey, or, I have one eye and I'm disabled. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about situations where a person is walking around and looks totally normal, and that person could have a mental disability or some type of mental illness, and that person is seen as totally normal, as opposed to one of us where we have to spend a major portion of our life just getting, there's certain validation points in life. Okay, one of them is, I'm going to be honest with you, one of them is getting your driver's license. Another one is moving out on your own. Another one is getting married. Another one is
having and raising children.
Right. And once you hit those points, people respect you different. And I think this is what gets our good friend over. Them 4 big head kids he got.
5 kids.
Allow him to do certain things that they don't allow they don't allow me to do, or allow you to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So with all that being said, we have to be aware of what's going on, and we're more aware than most people because we have to live and work through it. But what I'm saying is, if you would just let people be who they are, and you know what, I always tell you, you can't really control what people think of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to, but in regards to that, I get what the reason why, because you mentioned perception, right?
Right.
The reason why I think it's because me and you had conversations, and I've done a vlog on this one, inspiration porn.
Right.
Like, the reason why I fight so hard against that, and it annoys me, is because to me, I can't control the way people feel, but it doesn't help me. Like, you thinking like an able-bodied person seeing me on the red line train, when I go to work every day, and they're like, oh, that's so inspirational. The only reason you're saying that it's inspirational is because in your head, you think of my wheelchair as a weakness and you can't see yourself in it. When I'm just a dude. You know what I'm saying? Like now I'm having a situation, I'm running into a season in my disability, and I said that with purpose, where people are having a tendency to give me money. Just randomly give me money, and it's just like, no, I'm good. Like I had a old lady give me $200.
Damn.
Just on.
This old lady.
But I'm like, cause you know me, I don't do paratransit often, so like I'll be at the bus chilling. I was at the bus chilling, and this lady pulls up. Gets out of her car, and just hands me she gives me money, and I didn't know what was the amount. And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm good. And she was in her 60s, dude. So she's retired. She's not. I'm guessing that she's not working. So I'm like, no, ma'am, I'm fine. And she's like, no, take it. I'm a Christian. Gives me the whole Christian spiel. I'm a Christian too, by the way. Nah, just my name. And she hands me 2 bills. And I looked in the 2 bills, and they're $200. And I was like, ma'am, I can't accept this money. I can't do it. All this, and I tried my hardest, and she just would not take the money away. She wouldn't take the money back. Dude, that happens to me at least once a month. At least once a month.
That happens to you at least once a month. Let me start hanging out with you. It happened to me at least once a month. But anyway,
so when my point is, when we talk about inspiration porn and all this other stuff, where the idea that you automatically consider me and you different because of our disabilities, the reason that you're doing it is not real. It's
now, okay, let me tell you something else that's kind of along that line.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something how I feel. I've learned I'd rather be loved than to be admired. Let me explain that real quick. When people see you and they go, oh, like for example, last season I'm working at the same job that I have now, and it would be this girl that would open all the doors for me. Now, I'm just thinking, oh, this is cool. I get to speed through the doors. And I would literally go straight through every door like I was the president or something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I would always have my headphones on. And so one day she stops me at the second door and she says, did you take your headphones off? And I go, yeah, why? And so I take my headphones off, and she basically explains, I see you every morning, getting off the bus, and it's early. She said, I think about all the able-bodied people that's in the bed, sleep, and you out here trying to get, go to work. She said, and you gonna trip out when I say this, but she goes, I love you.
I've had that happen to me, except the I love you part.
And she goes, no, you don't understand. I love you. And I can hear my brother saying, if she loves you, we got to test that. So, over time, I'd see her, speak to her, and she would always run up, she would always be an Anthony groupie. So one day I just turned to her and said, let me get that number. And the chick goes, oh, my boyfriend would kill you.
Dude, why do they do that? Why do they do that? That's what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, Aunt. That's what I'm talking about, though. What you just explained happened to me like a week ago. Because the job that I work at and the job that we met at, I'm going to go into a quick story. Where the transit center is, because I use, regular bus, where the transit center is and where the job is across the street. But you can't do a straight line from the transit center to the job. You can if you're able-bodied, but there's no straight sidewalk line from there to the job. It's not safe. So I got to go around. So the job basically has a shuttle for the season. So everybody from the transit center can get on the shuttle and drive, and they can get a ride to the 2 locations, because the 2 locations are a block away from each other. So they get a ride from the 2 locations, so no one has to walk far, because they're both out of the bus way. right? So the job in question, they don't the job that I'm on and the job that you used to be on, they decided for financial reasons that they're not going to that their shuttle doesn't have ramp access. I explained to them that I would, can I use the shuttle? No, we can't afford the shuttle. Okay, fine. It's easier for me to roll. It's easier instead of fight them and instead of them because if I fought them, because I know me and you have had this conversation and I'm probably gonna hear it if I post it to certain places. Hey, you could sue them. Knowing them, they'll stop hiring certain people with disabilities, and that's a good opportunity. When 90% of us ain't working, let's try to keep as many avenues.
I'm a little bit different.
I know, but let me finish the story real quick. So that's just the background. So everybody knows what I got to do. I got to go all the way around. It takes me a good 20 minutes to do this. I tell this to a girl that I work with. She goes, that's because, and I made a joke about it. I was like, it keeps me slim. She laughs because when I tell the story, everybody's like, oh. Everybody's like, it's so sad. You have such a good spirit. You're so blah blah blah. And then when you ask the person out to dinner, what was the sound effect from the Big Whammy show? Wah wah. Like, dude, that happens. So it's like all this like, I love you, you're an inspiration, all this stuff. It doesn't matter because when it's sweet, but when you try to pull, you know what I'm saying? Proof is in the pudding, so to speak. They're like, I got boyfriends, I got this. Like none of this inspiration does anything. See what I'm saying? All it does is it lessens our personhood or it lessens our manhood as both of us.
One thing about it, I've always been a proponent of this. If some person thinks that way, I guarantee you I can find another person that thinks another way about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've been in with plenty of chicks that be like, I've been in with plenty of chicks that have been like, well, I can't do nothing because I can't stop thinking about you. Or you are so sexy to me, this, that, and the other. So, for me, that's a byproduct of just the overall good energy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you said we could be a little bit graphic on this podcast.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things done that some able-bodied dudes haven't. For many different types of women, many different walks of life.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really view it as a negative. It's just the way somebody might feel about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't really, and you'll find over the 2 years that we've known, over the 2.5 years that we've known each other, okay, as far as the disability movement, I think I'm the dumb blonde of the bunch. There's so much that I don't know about, and like you'll catch me, Christian will have a pre-production meeting, and Christian will show me something that's just totally mind-boggling to me. Like, and I'm not a sexual prude, but it was just so. In the beginning, it was so weird and off-putting to see this lady with a back brace.
No, wait. Okay, full disclosure here. I did not find this because on a random, somebody posted, like, I don't know what it was. Like, this is the beginning of when I think somebody, I used to play rugby. I don't know who showed it to me, but somebody posted on my page, like, hot wheelchair girls or something like that, right? So I go into the group, and there's this website called Gimps Gone Wild, right? So y'all don't judge me, but I'm gonna get them on here too. But but it's an adult site.
Man, it's an adult site for chicks that are in wheelchairs that want to be like porn stars.
And I showed Ant this
And
site.
you remember what I said? You remember what I said about the first one? But she's got on like the babe mask, and she's trying to be a porn star.
It was
I was like, we can do anything with the disability movement now that I've seen this. I want lift to come down from the ceiling. I want my wheelchairs on plates in like glass cases like Iron Man. I want to call them suits. I want to be the richest black man in the world. I mean, I want to be Tony Stark. If a girl can have on striped socks, a bag break, and have her cooch out with the Sammy Davis eye, with a whole bunch of able-bodied dudes standing around with their schlongs out.
Yes, that is a picture. That is a picture on there. I haven't seen that, but
Look at how confident she is as one eye is going to the left and the other one eye is going to the right.
she has severe cerebral palsy with a back brace on with striped socks. And she's like, the world is her oyster, man. That is awesome.
Her oyster is her world.
Hey, look, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, live your life, man. So when I showed Ant that, his reaction was, oh my damn. And like, it wasn't to show it to him to corrupt him, but it was just like,
This thing is like this. It's out there. I just suggest you, I just wanted you to know. He's that type of, it's out there, bro. It's out
Cause my thing about people with disabilities, we just people, man. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? And I don't even know how we got on that day, but I was like, bro, I need to show you something. And I showed you this, and your reaction was just, oh my.
That's what makes it good, because he's the master of knowledge, and I'm the master of the social part of it.
Right.
Like, every time we hang out, I'll be like, man, she wants my body.
Dude, yeah, pretty much. And I'm like,
Christian will be like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Could you say that about everybody?
The girl will be like, Christian, when you see me around the girl, don't she act like she want my body?
You still have followers, bro, dude, and you haven't been at the job in like 2 seasons.
2 years.
Right. You haven't been at the job in 2.
Well, I just wanted to hit that one door and go across the floor. You know, it's like one door where you can go in that door and go straight across the floor.
Uh-huh.
And just see how many girls get up and run out.
Wow.
That's all I want to do.
But yeah, man, like, cause our mutual friend Kingsley still works there. So, and he worked there he worked there, and he worked there during, and he's the BA, and he was saying, I think one season you were there, you weren't there, and he was, or you left early, and then people were like, "Where's Ann at?" Like, you had followers, bro. Like, where's Ann at? We miss Ant. Like, bro, like, dude, you're a paratransit legend, bro. You're the only when I did take paratransit and we worked in the same place, people would be like, you know Anthony? I'm like, yeah, I know Anthony. He's like, dude. They're like, dude, Anthony's my dude, man. Either they either love you or they hate you. You're either like the greatest person ever, or they hate you. Like, that's how polarizing this brother is.
But the cool thing is, I don't trip about
it. I feel like the first time I met you and I found out you had a communications degree, the first thing I said was, why isn't this dude on the radio? Why? Why isn't this dude on the radio? Why isn't this dude like telling some of them crazy stories? Why isn't this dude? And basically for that, I said that because like there's gonna be some 19-year-old kid or there's gonna be some like 15-year-old kid that's like struggling with himself, and he needs to hear like an older version, not of himself, but an older person. Like you had Mike to show you that your disability is not going to be a problem for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think all of us, and I had to figure out life myself. I didn't really have a disabled role model. I had role models, but none of them had disabilities, man. So I kind of had to figure that out myself. You know what I'm saying? And like, I kind of feel like, you know, some of those, and one of the reasons why he started being a contributor is because originally Pushing While Black was just going to be a journal channel. Like it wasn't going to be something that was going to be monetized, or it wasn't going to be something big. But I would suggest it to Anthony, like, hey man, since you're freaking hilarious, dude, why don't you like start a podcast, man, and just start pontificating about stuff. And then you asked me to host it with you, and I was like, all right. You know what I mean? Because I didn't, you know, because I was just like, because back then,
one was this top 5 one. Maybe just naming top 5 whatevers.
Mm-hmm.
And with that went really well, and so we decided to do it on a consistent basis. But, you know, the whole thing of it is, we're just people.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people walking around that have flaws, like majorly shit that if you knew about it, it would fuck you up. So we can't really beat ourselves up for stuff that's out of our control. All we can do is just keep doing the best we can every day and going from there.
Hey man, because I know you said you had to go at 7 and we went over crazy, but one real quick, we were talking about what the most of the disability rights movement as you see it is bullshit, and we kind of got off on a tangent.
Okay.
So what do you think we need to focus on?
We need to focus on equal pay for credentials. It is not my fault that, okay, let me give you an example. Warren Buffett went to, he's from Omaha. He went to, what is the business? Harvard Business School. At the end of the day, you do not penalize Warren Buffett for going to the schooling that he went to. So, based on that analogy, you should not penalize a disabled person for getting educated. I've said in many interviews where they told me, oh, your degree doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there needs to be, okay, first of all, ADA needs to be updated.
Reformed.
Yes.
Badly.
Because education, there should be some employment at the end of the tunnel. Okay? And one thing that I learned from you, if the employment was equal, people would have what they need in their homes to live right.
Right.
I don't
Go ahead.
That it should take a disabled person 2 hours to get in the shower.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should have to choose between using the bathroom or taking a shower. I think you should be able to do both, goddammit, in the same day.
Right. Wait. I buried the lead for a second. Say that again.
Okay? I don't think you should have to choose between whether I take a shower or whether I, use the bathroom.
Wow.
And I know some disabled people that have to do that.
Like, what do you think is do you think universal design needs to be,
Universal design needs to be improved. And let me tell you how it needs to be improved. It needs to be improved on a case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm.
And meaning, just universal design, some people can't handle bars at 32 inches.
Right.
But if the person is a midget or a little person, I apologize. I didn't mean to offend any of the little people.
And it's old school, so you're gonna hear old school terms. We're not trying to offend nobody.
Right. And it's okay if you call me a gimp, because I really don't care what you call me. I'm asking your girlfriend what she wants to call me. So, with that being said, universal design needs to be improved. They need to find disabled people jobs that match their credentials. And there's a standard. Okay? If you raise the minimum wage to $15, that means me and my partner on the other end of that phone line should be making at least
$35
an hour.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, and I mentioned this in like one of my early ones. Everyone that listens to, go back in my channel. Matter of fact, subscribe to my channel. Number one. Number two, go back and listen to some of the jewels that I dropped because I'm gonna mention one of them. Like, I'm gonna mention one of them, and it's gonna be pertain to the minimum wage thing. The fact that I have a college degree and after my degree, I've made $9 an hour is a problem. I'm not mad about that, but I have an issue with going with what Ant said. I'm going to piggyback off of it. The Americans with Disabilities Act, and I will say this until they reform it or until I die, is broken. And we have a lot of advocacy groups.
Say this. Mm-hmm. You know what they're going to do now? They're going to do the same thing they did with affirmative action. They're going to start saying, well, there's no need for ADA right now.
Bro, but here's the thing with affirmative action. And me and you have had this conversation privately, and I'm going to just mention it here. The civil rights movement and affirmative action to come out of the civil rights movement set up our parents to where there was once a black middle class, to where there was and kind of still is a black middle and upper class. Where's our affirmative action at? And I'm being dead serious. The Americans.
I posted that on my Facebook.
Huh?
Saw how many people actually said something to it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like that. Disability affirmative action right now.
Because, bro, like 60 to 70% of disabled people are not working. That's just real. It goes up 20% when you're African American or when you're a disabled person of color. And
let's not speak about that. Let's not speak
Yeah, I think, was that his dad's diner?
No, it was his.
I know what you're talking about. I think he ended up closing the diner though, didn't he? No, check this out. He ended up, bro, like.
He did better than both of us.
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah.
He ended open for a year. He did it better than both of us. Because one thing about it, he can set his schedule, and he don't have to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Maybe I need to go tell somebody I just want to hug you.
Hey, that site Gims Gone Wild has a dude section. We can.
I'm spinning with a spatula in my hand.
I know what you. I know, but I'm saying, I think, and I know there are black people people are like affirmative action didn't work and stuff, but see, here's the thing, like, we're very tribal people, and what white people don't understand is what good white people don't understand is that we're a very tribal species. We stay with our people, right? So the reason that affirmative action existed was because white people were not allowing black people in certain areas of the economy. So that had to happen. When you talk about disability, we add to that because disability automatically means to the able-bodied person weakness. And I'm not trying to preach here, but give me a couple seconds. It automatically means weakness. So what the ADA did is the ADA made things somewhat accessible. I say somewhat accessible because 1, there's not universal design everywhere. 2, there's accessibility, and then there's half accessibility, and then there's real accessibility. As a 4-wheel pedestrian that goes out often, and I posted a video about this that I did a year ago, and I shared it today. It's not 100%. So we have some things. We're able to get educated. But one of the things that the Americans with Disabilities Act failed to do is it failed to institute an employment structure for the people before us, because it was instituted in 90. Because people forget.
And I'm gonna tell you about something. I only got like 15 minutes where I can record.
No, you good.
I already see that we're gonna have to do another part.
No, you good. Just let me.
Into my experience.
Yeah. Just let me wrap this up and then we'll close. So the affirmative action lasted 20 years for African Americans and people of color. The Americans with Disabilities Act is 26 years old. Like, you think if we had an affirmative action system for 12 years, you think we'd be good? I'm 34. You're 44. Do you think if we had an affirmative action system, do you think that your non-for-profit wouldn't be here? Do you think that what I'm trying to do wouldn't already be here? You know what I'm saying? Like they dropped the ball. So I feel you on the ADA, man, because there's so many things that they could have, they did, but they didn't do.
I'm gonna say this too. You get these lily white activists that have, institutional money behind them, and they're fighting for. My son wants to hug people, so let me have a diner. And he can give them each a hug with their ham and eggs. That's the wrong shit to fight for.
Or we're fighting.
Parking spaces is the wrong thing to fight for. You know what I've learned? What they need to do? If an able-bodied person goes into a stall that's for handicapped people, they ought to have ejection seats.
how about have an institutional design of handicap stalls? Like,
Right.
dude,
Where they all
like a grab bar does not make your stall accessible.
Right.
Fix that, ADA.
Right.
But anyway, you said you got 15 minutes, so finish up your point about what exactly we need to do, the disability rights movement needs to be, and then we can close because I know you got to get up.
Okay, so removing the stigma of disability. Like, everybody has special issues. Like, let me give you an example. I work with a lot of single mothers. So my supervisor knows, okay, Tanya might be a little late because her son has the flu. Why can't it be the same situation if you know I deal with Dart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm scheduled in enough time to get there. But Dart is a rideshare program. Why is it I can't have the same consideration the single mother gets?
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong?
You're right. That just means you have a bitch for a supervisor.
Right. I agree with you totally. You should be sitting down, but I digress.
But that's real though. Like there are people that don't understand what you go through, and they're just like, well, and then half of the time they don't want you there anyway, because they don't think you should do the job. They don't think you should do the job anyway.
Right. So, with that being said, we're gonna have to do a part 2 to this.
Man, I'm gonna have to get you on again, bro, because I know you got to get up soon. But yeah, man, we'll get back. That's just the piece of what N is. We have yet to scratch the surface, but thank you, brother.
This has been the push. This has been Pushing While Black. That's Christian Dean. I'm Anthony Joslin. We appreciate your time. 2 fingers.
Doses, man.